Are you a new Galaxy Z Fold 7 user or even one that has had it for a while? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you several tips from the simple one to the advanced one to the ones that you wouldn't even think of. I'm Captain Awesome, this is Geekception, and let's begin. And the first thing here is let's sort out the app drawer alphabetically. Now, if we open up the app drawer here, it has all these pages and it just dumps all your most recently installed apps on the right, which I think looks too cluttered and it doesn't give this phone that premium feel. So to change that is very, very easy. All you have to do is tap on the three-dot menu on the bottom right there. You'll see three options. Now what we want to click is sort. So we tap on sort here and then you'll see alphabetical order. Now it is on custom order, but we want to switch that to alphabetical order. So let's switch that to alphabetical order here. And now it doesn't look like anything has changed, but actually everything has changed. So if we swipe up, you can see that now all of the apps are in a vertical format. So you can see that it's so much easier to just swipe up and see all of your apps in alphabetical order, which I think just looks a lot more cleaner. And speaking of clean, there is a navigation bar at the bottom here, which maybe if this were 2013 that would be great, but this is 2025 and maybe you're even from the future and that is not great anymore. So all you have to do is go into your settings here, and on your left you will be able to see all of the options that you have here. So first we want to select display, and under display here, if you scroll on the right here, you will find the navigation bar option, which is on the right here. We want to tap on that, and for the navigation bar you get two options. First is the buttons, which is the one we've selected right now, but we want to select swipe gesture, and immediately you can see there, and if you just swipe home like that, you can see that now it looks so much cleaner. You can see from the bottom there, it just looks so much more cleaner. And if you see that, if I let's say swipe and hold, you can see I have my recent apps there, and to go back in apps, for example, let's say I open Twitter and you want to go back, you just swipe from the edge there to go back, and to go back home you swipe up. So that is how to enable the on-screen gestures. So if we open up, let's say, the phone here and we go into Twitter here, you can see it's working, and when we open it up there, you can see it actually transfers, but the same does not happen when you go the opposite way, and this way you can actually change it. So let's change that right here, and to do that is actually pretty easy. We just go into the settings right here, and under the settings we select display, which is the menu I already have selected, and there is actually one, it's not at the bottom, it's not at the top, so you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, the continue apps on the front cover screen here. So we select continue apps on cover screen, and you see it's actually by default set to never, but you get two options. You get swipe up to continue app, which is my personal recommendation, and I'll demo it for you now, and you have always. So let's try swipe up to continue app, for example. So let's say you open Twitter and you close it like that, you get an option to swipe up to continue. So if you swipe up like this, it actually continues the Twitter app right there. You can see, very easy. And then when we open it up, it's also there. So that is swipe up to continue here. And then you have always, which means that it doesn't matter what is happening. If you have always here and you close it, it will actually continue on the cover screen, which you might prefer if you're someone who just wants to be able to always transition back and forth. And for me, I think I prefer the swipe up to continue, because sometimes when I'm closing the phone, I actually want to shut the phone down. I don't want the phone to still continue running like this, and then I just lock the phone. And sometimes you want to open it, let's say you're reading Twitter like I am, but I cannot hold this with my both hands. For example, I cannot keep it open, I have something else in my hand, but I still want to use the phone, so I can just close it like that, and I have the option to then open it and continue using the phone like this, which is what I'll recommend for you here. Next, let's talk about battery and performance, and let's start by going into the settings here and going into your battery options and looking at some of the settings you can use here. And I think the first one is in battery protection. Now you have several options here, such as basic, which is the default, but I suggest you actually go into adaptive, which will stop charging based on when you plug your phone in, and it will stop charging. It will not charge it to 100% immediately. But if you want, like, let's say the best settings here, it's a maximum, where you can actually select where the battery stops charging. And I think for me, I always keep it at either 90% or 90 95%, I would say, which means that, when it gets to that percentage, it will stop charging, and I think over the long run this is where it will preserve your battery health right there. And if you go into charging settings as well, you can also disable fast charging or fast wireless charging. For me, I'll keep fast charging on, but fast wireless charging, number one, I would not recommend you use wireless charging, and if you did, I would really suggest you turn off fast wireless charging here, because wireless charging is one of the, I think in my opinion, fastest ways to kill the battery, which I do not recommend it at all. Next, let's scroll into device care. So you scroll all the way down and there's device care here. We tap on it and you get all of these options, which I think the most important, which I found to give me so much better battery life here, is in the performance profile. Switching it from standard to light here. And what light does is it prioritizes your battery life as well as your cooling efficiency. And I have not, I've been using light for I think the past 1 week or so, and I've not noticed any considerable difference in performance here on the Z Fold 7. So I really suggest you turn that on as well. You switch to light, and in auto optimization here, I suggest you auto restart when needed, so that if your phone, for example, it's been lagging for a while, or it just needs to restart to sort of wake up from its slumber, I suggest you turn on auto restart when needed as well. And as a first-time Fold user, I'm on YouTube right here, and I actually discovered something that is not as common, but I think is a tip that you wouldn't really necessarily think, which is that, let's say you're watching a video. I'm watching the new Avatar Fire and Ash, and I'm so excited for this trailer, actually, for the movie, actually, not just the trailer. But let's say you're watching something like this, and your natural instinct in portrait mode is to just, watch it full screen. I would say you're actually losing lots of screen resolution here by watching it in horizontal. And to confirm, this is what I mean by horizontal. Your camera is like that. This is the normal way when you open up the phone. What I suggest is actually to rotate your phone. Now, when you rotate your phone, you see that you actually get extra, I would say, space on the top and the bottom, and it's actually much bigger when you watch it like this. So you actually are able to watch so much more and see so much more of whatever it is you watch. And compared to other phones, even the S25 Ultra and all of that, this is actually way bigger than those screens, especially when you just do a simple act such as rotating your phone, which you wouldn't think would be anything crazy. But I've found in my experience actually is pretty, you get, I think, that 15-20% more bigger screen estate, which I think looks great. So that's another tip here, is rotate your phone when you're watching in full screen. You're going to get way better viewing experience here on the Z Fold 7. Okay, next, I don't know about you, but for me, when I press my power button, I want it to be a power button. And as you know, the Z Fold 7 here has Gemini. So when you press and hold on the power button, for example, it just opens this Gemini that starts like, taking all of your input and all of that. But I don't want that, especially when I want to maybe restart the phone, I want to do something. So first, let's reclaim your power button. And to do that is actually pretty easy, which is just go into your settings here and scroll down and head to advanced features. Now in advanced features here, you want to tap on side button on the right here. So there's the sub menu side button, and then you get two options here. You get one for double press, which is for the camera, which I like exactly as it is. And the second one here is for long press, which is what we actually want to change. So as you can see here, there is Google Assistant, there's Bixby, and then there is the power off menu. So what you want to do is select power off menu, and now if I press and hold, it actually gives me the power off menu, which is what I intend to use my power button for, and not a side button. I don't know, this is utter woke nonsense, but yes, that is how you reclaim your power button. Okay, let's say you actually like having the Google Gemini, or maybe you don't want Google Gemini, maybe you want something else, like for example ChatGPT. You can actually change it so that the long press goes from Google to ChatGPT, and it's very easy. basically all you have to do is tap on the right settings cog there, and it gives you several options here for which digital assistant app you want. And here, because I have ChatGPT and Perplexity, I have the option. So if I select ChatGPT, for example, and I press and hold on the side button here, you can see I now have ChatGPT open right here. So same thing goes for Perplexity as well. If I select Perplexity and I tap and hold there, and you grant it all of the permissions, and now you have Perplexity, which looks so much more cooler, I must say. But yes, that is how to change your digital assistant app in case you're someone who actually likes it and you are not tied to Gemini, which for me, I like Gemini, but I still prefer using either Perplexity or ChatGPT, as that is just where all of my data is, and I've been using that for far longer than a Gemini. And as a Fold user, I recommend you install FoldCounter as one of the first apps you install on this. And the reason is very simple. It shows you how many times you've unfolded your phone. And as you can see, since the first time that I installed this app, I've unfolded a total of 422 times. And for today, I've unfolded 9 times, which is crazy just how many times I unfold. And as you can see, I have an average unfold of 14 unfolds every single day, and which tells you like, hey, this is how many times you're actually unfolding. And maybe this might come into handy, not now, but eventually down the line, maybe 3, 4, 5 years when you want to claim warranty or you want to repair or something. Okay, next, let's give you some multitasking superpowers, and to do that is actually very easy. And we're going to start with the taskbar that you see below here. And first, let's go into display, which is where we're going to find the taskbar sub menu here, which will scroll all the way down, and we see taskbar. And now here it looks normal, but actually we can change it quite a bit here. And to see what it looks like before we change it, if you just swipe up a little bit, not all the way, you see in your recent apps, you only have 2 apps here. For me, it's Perplexity and it's YouTube Studio. Now this is where the magic happens. If we go here, you can select up to 3 apps, where if I then swipe up here, you can see now there are 3 apps, including Perplexity right there and YouTube. Or if I select 4 apps, which is what I recommend you have, now there are up to 4 apps here, which is Twitter, YouTube, YouTube Studio, and Perplexity. But something to take note into account here is that if you add more apps into your dock there, so let's say let me drag Perplexity and put it there, let me drag the Play Store and put it there, and now even though let's say technically I have up to 4 apps here, if I swipe up, I still only have 2 apps. So it depends on how many apps you have in the dock here. But if you don't have that many apps and you keep up to 4 apps, you can actually get so much more for recall when it comes to the apps in your taskbar. Now, speaking of apps in your taskbar, let's go through how to create app pairs. So app pairs are basically having multiple apps on screen at the same time. So let's say I have this app here and I want to have the Play Store at the same time. I drag that. Now this is how you're able to open multiple apps. And in case you even want to add more apps on screen right now, if you just gently swipe up, not all the way, just a little, and you tap on that little app icon on the bottom left there, you have multiple options here. So let's say I then want to add another app into this fray. Let's say it's Spotify, and I drag that there. Now you have the ability to also have Spotify here. And now one thing that is cool about this is app pairs. So app pairs is basically being able to save this for next time. So for me, what I've been able to save, I'll show you after I demo this, is really cool. So now in the middle here, you have this 3 dot there. So if I tap on the 3 dot, you get 2 options. The first is to be able to rearrange them, and the second is a star. Now if I tap on the star here, you actually get an option of where you want to add your app pair to, right? Do you want to add it to your taskbar? Do you want to add it to your home screen? Or what I recommend, you add it to your app's edge panel, right? So first, let's try home screen. Let's say you tap on home screen. It's now been added to your home screen, and let me see, where is it? It's here. It's dragged it somewhere a bit inconvenient. So now you have it here on your home screen, which means that if you now tap on it, it opens all of those apps at the same time, which is great for if you have this as a saved configuration and you want to open it another time without having to manually drag it. That is great. But I think what is even better and what looks cleaner, so you don't take up space on your home screen, is let's say we tap this again and you tap the star, And what I recommend is to use the Apps Edge panel. So now, where is the Apps Edge panel? What is the Apps Edge panel? I'm glad you asked. On the right here, you actually get all of these options, which is the Apps Edge panel. And as you can see, I've already saved several app configurations. So for example, when I'm using Perplexity and Notion, which is when I'm doing research, when I'm using Perplexity and ChatGPT, when I'm doing even more research, or in this case, what we have just saved, which is your Play Store, your Spotify, and your settings. So now if we tap on that, it immediately opens it and it's accessible from any screen. So if you open it like that, you tap on it there, it's already open. So that is how I suggest you take up your multitasking to an even higher level. And the final tweak here for multitasking is to actually enable swipe for pop-up, which, okay, what the heck is that? Let me explain. So we go into the settings here and I'm already in advanced features, which is where you need to be. Next, we need to tap on multi-window, and here we want to tap on swipe for pop-up view. So what that means is that we can actually create a pop-up out of any app by swiping from the right. So if I turn that on, for example, and now if I just swipe like this, you see that I can turn this into like its own sort of mini app on the big canvas that we have here, which I think is very nice, especially when you are using this and you have something else on screen and you just want to be able to, you know, move the app. And one thing I like about this is then you can sort of minimize the app, and it now becomes into that icon. When you tap on it there, it comes out fully. So let's say I'm using Twitter here. I open Twitter. Twitter is on screen big, but I want to change something in the settings or whatever app you have. Maybe it's your music app, which is how I usually use this. You now have the ability to do that, and then boom, you minimize it. You want to close it, you drag and hold, you drag it close into the bottom there, boom, it is gone. So that is a swipe for pop-up, which I think is just fantastic here on the Z Fold 7. Another setting here in the multi-window is under advanced features here, and we go into labs. Now labs is where some maybe in development settings you can find here. And one thing I suggest you enable here is multi-window for all apps, because some apps you cannot use multi-window for them. So this enables multi-window for those apps, which I found to be really helpful, as well as back screen preview. Now back screen preview is not supported in almost all apps at this moment, but for the apps that are supported, when you press and hold on the back, you actually see a preview of the app that you're going to be going back into, which I think is really, really helpful here. And I'm not sure you've noticed yet, but if you see my home screen here on the inside screen, and let's say I go to my home screen on the outside screen, you can actually see that they're both different home screens. They don't look the same. They don't have the same wallpaper. So how did I do that? Well, it's very simple. You can actually unlink your cover screen from your inside screen. And you can do that by going into the settings here and going to the home screen option here. And on the home screen option here, you actually have the option to enable cover screen monitoring, which is what I selected here. So if you turn it on, you'll be able to have the same cover screen on both your inside and outside screen. But if you turn it off like I have right here, you actually be able to only have your cover screen is different and separate from your inner screen, which is what I suggest you turn off. Okay, so let's say you're a YouTuber like me and you upload to YouTube Shorts, or maybe you're not even a YouTuber, maybe you just upload to YouTube Shorts anyway on your phone, and you tap on that. Sometimes you might not get this option to create a short. Now, this option is here, but the last time I tried to do this, it was not here. So what I recommend you do is actually just go on to the cover screen, and on the cover screen you would always get an option to create a short. And if that option doesn't show up on the inside screen, just close your phone, go back to the cover screen, and you should be able to get an option to create or upload a short here from the Z Fold 7. And I'm sure you've seen my home screen here that, all the icons are sort of, rounded here, where I just curved them. Some of them are even rotated. They're not in the right orientation, and I've moved all of them around. I have this sort of crosshairs type kind of a thing here. And so how did I do that? And it's very simple. Actually, I'm not going going to be going full deep into it, but it's by installing Good Luck from the Galaxy Store. Now, Good Luck is where you're able to add all of these add-ons here, such as your theme park, which is why I have like rounded icons, as you can see here, which is not the default. Your Routines Plus, OMAP, which is what I then use to be able to customize. So there's this feature here in OMAP under home screen called DIY home screen, where when you go into the home screen, you press and hold, and you keep pressing and holding. You can actually then do stuff such as, you know, rotate your icons like this. You can even make them like super duper big like that. You can do all of that. I'm just going to undo all of what I've done here. So it's using OMAP and it's using Good Luck. So you can again get that by going into your store, by searching for Good Luck, which is what you are able to download. And when you download it, you can install all of these modules to be able to have even advanced customizations on your Z Fold 7. Next, let's secure your phone. And the first thing I suggest you do is go into your settings here. You go into your security and privacy, and here you can set up your screen lock. So I'm just going to type off my password right here, and I suggest you enable the fingerprint biometrics, which is where you can enable unlocking or locking your phone with your fingerprint right there, which makes it super duper easy to get into your phone right there. Now, another settings here, which I also suggest you enable, is lost device protection, and under that you will find theft protection here. And here what it does is that it disables temporarily being able to change settings. So even if someone were to, you know, somehow get into your phone, for example, it will require biometrics, for example, to be able to change your you know, settings and all of that. And here you want to add your safe places, and I suggest you go into, you know, your theft detection lock, for example. Let's say someone, you know, abruptly, you know, steals your phone from you or grabs your phone and runs away. You're able to then the phone automatically detects this and then locks your phone, which is, you know, as you can imagine, super duper helpful. So I suggest you turn on this theft protection here. And still on security, next let's go to notifications, and here you want to change a few things, especially in lock screen. And if you want maximum you know, security for your notifications, you want to turn that off, so you won't be able to see notifications, or anybody will be able to see it there. Or you can, you know, turn it on and just send it enable to show maybe alerting notifications only. So these are like, you know, the most absolutely important notifications. And one thing I've loved at, you know, about the previous the most recent versions of Android recently is if you go into advanced setting here, you can actually be able to see your notification history. So let's say you've swiped away a notification, you can actually come here and see some of, you know, the previous notifications that you've had in the past, and it keeps all of that. You can see it's like a very extensive notification history here. So in case you had accidentally swiped up a notification, you can actually see it here, which I think is super cool. And now we're at my favorite part of the settings and tips here, which is the camera app, which is where we are able to tell you what are some of the best settings for you to use. And first, I think the first one is going into the top here and enabling motion photos, which means that when you take a photo, for example, and let's say let's move it around, let's wiggle it there, and we open it there, and you tap on view motion photo, you can see that it actually records some part of the action there, which is always great to be able to have some of the memories when you take a photo, which is fantastic. I'm just swiping away my wife's messages. She's calling me a pinche. Next, let's go into the settings here, and to go into the settings is pretty easy. You tap there on those menu on the left here, not sure if you can see that, and you tap on settings, and this is where we are able to change some of the settings to get you the best photos here. And I think the first one here is tapping on intelligent optimization. Now at maximum, which is the default here, I understand what Samsung is trying to go for, which is just giving you some of the best, you know, settings right out of the box, but I found that medium is actually, I would say, the sweet spot here for being able to get some of the best balance between having a good photo but not too overly processed. And you get this pop-up when you open up your camera, which is to turn on location tags, which I suggest you turn on. It will bring up the next option for while using the app or only this time. I suggest you tap on while using the app so that you're able to get all your location in your photos, which look great. And I think the next one here is going into the advanced picture options here. And the first I suggest you turn on is high efficiency photos if you want those smaller file sizes. For me, I always keep it off. I don't mind using the space, and again, you're spending I don't know how much on this phone. I think you can deal with your JPEGs or being a little bigger. And in the pro picture mode format here, I suggest you turn on RAW and JPEG format so that when you take raw photos here or when you're in the pro mode, you can get both the RAW and the JPEGs, which is always great. And for the motion photo capture, we can leave it as is there. And next, going on into the video section here, and auto FPS, I always turn it off because as someone who records video for a living, I can tell you that auto FPS, the moment you try to use it for anything that requires your frame rates to be exact, is going to give you so much headache, especially in synchronizing your video to audio, in case you are ever doing that. Going into advanced video options here, and by default it's a HEVC, which is high efficiency. I suggest you leave that turned on. You really get so much benefit for smaller file sizes, though it might be a bit taxing on your computer if you don't have a Mac Studio like I do, for example, right? So that might be something to consider. Next is high bitrate videos. I would consider turning that on, as your videos just look so much more better with that high bitrate video turned on. And next is log. Now this shoots log, which is a professional video format. I suggest you turn it on in both the video and pro video modes here, because you definitely sometimes want to record log, but you don't want to be in the pro mode right there. I think that would be great as well. Going back, and here tracking autofocus, it's a hit or a miss for me. Sometimes it works, but I found that when I'm in such a busy environment, like maybe street, for example, it's a bit too distracting, so I don't turn that on. But for composition guide, I definitely turn it on because I want the grid lines and the level, which is what you get here. And you can see the level in the middle there. Let me just zoom in all the way to 3x so you can see it much better. So you can see the level there, and it vibrates to tell you if it's level or not. And of course you get that grid lines by the side there, which is also fantastic as well. So you're able to frame your shots really, really well. So I just suggest you turn that on. Next is shooting methods, and for shooting methods here, I would say you may want the floating shutter button, because this is such a big device, and you might want to be able to have the shutter maybe here instead of here, or maybe you want the shutter on your left if you're going to be taking it on the left there, so that it's easier for you to just capture shots and not have to move your hand there. So that's definitely one setting that is nice to have. Next is settings to keep, actually, and this one is one where I recommend you turn on almost everything. I think for me, I always turn on almost everything here except exposure. I think I keep exposure off. Now, what does this mean? That means that if you are in a different camera mode, it actually saves the camera mode even when you exit the camera app. So for example, let's say, I think a better demonstration of this is portrait mode. So let me swipe this app away there, and I open up the camera app again. You can see it's still on portrait mode right there. So because it saved the mode that I'm actually on, which is great. So that is settings to keep here. So I suggest you turn all of that on. And I have camera assistant here, which we'll come to later in the video, but at this stage, camera assistant enables you to be able to have different options here. Now you get this by installing it from the store and from the Galaxy store. And here I would say many of the options here are pretty advanced, especially audio monitoring if you're going to be using this professionally, or even clean preview on HDMI display, or even saving to an external storage in case you want to save your videos to external storage, which is options that I've used at several times, but I think here there are many options here, such as, you know, prioritize focus over speed and video recording in photo mode, which you can change there, or even advanced resolution options in case you want to upscale your digital zoom there. So all of these are options that you can only get with Camera Assistant, as well as, you know, picture softening as well, right? Let's say you want your photos to be sharp, you don't want that, you know, noise reduction or overly noise reduction, or as well as auto lens switching. I think this is the only one I suggest you change here, which you turn off, because I don't want, you know, when I bring, let's say I open up the camera app right here, and you know, I bring this here, sometimes it will change the lens automatically, which is what I don't want right there. So you can turn that off with the Camera Assistant app. Yes, let me just quickly show you. To install Camera Assistant is actually pretty easy. You go into your Galaxy store there, and either you search for Camera Assistant here, which I'm not sure, Camera Assistant, and you can install it from here, and boom, that's how you install Camera Assistant here. I'm just going to tap on it, and this is where you install Camera Assistant from. And those have been some of, you know, the tips I would say. But let's go into some advanced tips now, in case you are a little bit more advanced. And the first one is on the left here. On the right, there are two options here. So if you tap on the left here, there's actually a capture option. So what that means is, let's say you capture a photo. Let me go into the 3x and, well, the 0.6x, and I capture a photo, and it immediately brings the photo to the left there. And let's say I swipe over here and I capture another photo. Well, you get this option when you select, when you swap to your selfie camera, to either select natural or warm. For me, I like warm, so I'm going to select warm there, and I'm going to, you know, take a photo. And as you can see, it actually saves the photos there. So that's the first option here on the left. The second option on the right is, I'm just going to turn this off for now. On the right is where you are able to, yes, I now realize why. So where you're able to actually turn on the cover screen. So for example, you want to take photos, you can actually turn on that cover screen right there. And if you swipe here, you can actually then unlock the phone and use this. So let's say you wanted to take a selfie there. Take a selfie there. Let me just open up the camera app here by double tapping the power button. Yes, so you can actually then use the camera app on the outside screen right here. So to switch back to the inside screen, you just swipe on the inside here, and it switches back to the inside screen right there. So that is some of the advanced tip, as well as filters. So if you tap on that menu on the left here, you actually get all of these options. And this one is the filters, where you can actually change the filters that you use to capture photos. And in fact, you can actually go all the way to the front and maybe select a photo that you want to use as an inspiration. So let's say I want to select this photo right here, and it will use Galaxy AI to create a filter for you. So you can actually use that, like you can see here. Now you can then tap create right there, and it will use that photo to create a filter for you, which is great as well. So now going into the video mode. So I want to go into the video mode here, and of course you have all of this settings here, and on the top I suggest you change it to UHD 60 frames per second, which means you are recording in 4K, and of course this records up to 8K. But the downside of that is that you can only use your main camera. As you can see here, you cannot use any other camera. So that is why I suggest you use UHD and 60 frames per second, so you get the ability to be able to record. And for me, I do not like HDR, so I'm just going to turn off HDR, because, you know, I'm not one who is going to contribute to the problem of overly bright videos on Instagram whenever I'm using Instagram. But you also get log video, which we turned on earlier, which means you can shoot in that professional log and be able to use the color grading I made. I covered this in one of the previous videos I made. I'll link it down in the description. But that is a video here, and what I like is the fact that you get that 4K 60 on the front camera as well. So if we switch here, we go into UHD 60, you get that on the selfie camera as well, which is fantastic. Another tip that maybe long-term Fold users know that you might not know if you are new is, let's say you're watching a video, for example, I'm playing this on YouTube, and then you open, fold it like that, it actually just opens up on the other side and you get playback controls on this side here. So yeah, that's another quick tip in case you did not know. You could just open it like that. And I find this useful most especially when I'm like eating and I want to like just put it on a table and watch you know, something while I'm eating. I've used this in configurations like this many times. It's perfect for that. And of course, what kind of video will this be without having Galaxy AI? And you know, my favorite Galaxy AI feature here is a circle to search, where you know you press and hold and then you circle like that and it searches, which is, I think we all know by now. But I think what is specific here to the Z Fold 7 and almost all other Samsung devices is actually the AI Select. Now, what I love about the AI Select is, let's say I've opened this image right now, right? And I swipe on there and I tap on AI Select. Now what AI Select does, it scans your entire screen, and let's say, you know, I select Mr. Reed Richards right here. You can immediately, for example, turn this into an image. So let me just draw that around Mr. Reed Richards, and I tap on this saved in gallery. So if I go into my gallery, for example, you can see it saved just that part of the image. Now you can do this with circle to search, but it doesn't give you all of those options. And another thing I always use this for is just selecting text. So let's say it's selected that, I select this like this, and then you can tap and hold on that, and boom, you can just copy the text right there. And let's say you want to search somewhere else, let's say I tap on Google, I paste it, boom. You can even select, like, you know, photos, text from images, which is always a very nice thing. So which is why I like the AI Select, and it's context aware. So what that means is, let's say I go into a video, for example, and let's say I open this video of this Becca's Leica, and let's say I swipe from the edge here and I select AI Select, and now it can actually then use this to create like a GIF. So I can create GIF, for example, and just like that, if let's say I select this and you know it's recording, I stop, and just like that, and I save this like this. You go into your gallery right there. Let me just close this. I go into my gallery right there, and boom, it has saved that as a GIF. Like you can see that now you can just share this to social media. So this is what I love about the AI Select on the Z Fold 7. It's just really, really nice, and it's very, very fast, and you can do so much with it. And there you have it. These are some of the tips I've been able to find for this wonderful Z Fold 7 right here. Let me know if they have been helpful, or if you have other tips that you want to share with me and the class. And yes, I've been your captain of awesome. This is Geekception. I appreciate you making it all the way to the end of the video, and consider subscribing and liking here if that help, if you want videos like this in the future. And I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to stay awesome. Bye. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. Now, this video is taking me so long because I went on a break. Last one was a bit crazy, 28 videos. So I definitely needed that break. I'll tell you this for sure. I'm trying to see if I can upload this. This is Monday, so I hope I'm able to upload it by today so that tomorrow is a new day. I'm trying to work on these really long form videos and publish them as early as I can this month. But tell me what you've been up to. I have like this super nice speaker from Edifier that I unboxed. That video will be coming very soon, as well as, of course, you know, this video that you're watching right now. And my setup, my setup looks really nice. I like my setup. It's very clean now. But yes, that has been it from me. Hope you're doing well. Tell me if what have you been up to? What are you excited about? And all of that. I look forward to hearing all of it. And put hashtag big speakers, so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, bye.